Good morning, all. It's still somewhat morning. A little bit later than I normally like to get here into the studio, but it is frigid out there. I think it was like 8 degrees this morning when I woke up. So I waited. It's now, I think, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 degrees. I have the heat cranked up, so if you hear some whirling in the background, apologize for that, but I don't want to turn it off. Also, if you hear some clicking in the background, I have the griddles on, and today's studio plan is to paint the last of these little mini paintings. So this is painting number 12. Can't believe this is the last one. And but before we get started into this video, I thought I would do a quick introduction just in case you're new around here and wondering what this channel is all about. Hi there, I'm Stacy, the Encaustic mixed media artist behind Studio Stacy. Encaustic literally means to burn in. So I paint with beeswax and a torch, and because it's mixed media, pretty much anything else I can get my hands on. If you're new around here, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Consider subscribing and joining this artsy community. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, which helps me get introduced to more like-minded artsy folks like yourself. All right, so today's art style is going to be text art. And I did a lot of prep work kind of for this over in the barn dominium in my office, and I will kind of explain what I did up until this point and maybe do some like B-roll overlays of working on the computer. And I'm going to attempt to kind of explain what I did. I have a program that I used for scrapbooking way back in the day. But I think any photo editing program would probably do this. So let me try to explain it here now. Okay, so I had an idea in mind when I started this kind of project or this painting. And that was I wanted to take some words and kind of impose some pine trees over them. So the first thing I did over here in the studio, I sketched out some pine trees, and I made them small because I knew that this, it's small. It's a 4x4 panel, 4" by 4". So you could see the size, it's quite small. So I made these pine trees small, and then I took and I scanned them into my computer. And they were even too big with the size that I made them, so I had to scale them down even more in my computer, which was fine, easy peasy to do. And then I took and imposed them over these words and over the letters, and I didn't want to use every single letter with a tree on it because I thought it was too much when I first initially did that. And then of course I took and erased some of the letters, or some of the portions of the letters so you could see the tree a little bit more. It was kind of a time-consuming process, but I really liked how it came out. So then after I got it kind of situated and all the words correct how I wanted them, I took and I had to flip them so they look backwards now. Took and printed those out onto some vellum that I used, and if you've been here a little while, you know this is my favorite way of doing an image transfer or transferring even words onto paintings. I do this quite frequently with the bigger tree paintings that I've done, and I do this pretty frequently, so it works out really well when you print it on this vellum. And that's where we're at as of right now. So I think maybe you can kind of get a feel for where this is going. All right, before we can actually use this text, I first need to get some colors picked out and the background of this painting painted. And while I do that, I thought I would briefly describe the text art movement and a little bit of the history behind it. Text art has been around since the early 20th century with artists like Picasso and Baroque.
integrating collage with text from newspapers into their paintings. The artistic use of typography emerged more strongly a bit later in the 20th century alongside the avant-garde movements, and in the 1960s, text art began to gain popularity. Text art lives in the tension between the words said and how it looks. Text art explores the ability for words to become works of art. Letters and words are treated as visual shapes, not just messengers. Artists who work with words have experimented with short and long statements, different typeface, and a variety of colors to convey their thoughts. When you encounter a piece of text-based art, consider why the artist chose that phrasing, font, color, and placement. Text art ranges from neon signage to hand-painted words to silk screening and etching. Text-based artists often explore a wide range of social and political issues. In every brushstroke, pixel, or tube of neon, text artists can provide a powerful commentary and allow for different interpretations. Text art can do more than just describe reality. It can build meaning, influence culture, and determine our experiences. So there you have it, a brief description of the text art movement and style and the history behind it. So now please sit back and enjoy this painting process and listen to a little bit of music. I'll see you in a bit.
Alright all, that's it. The last painting in this little mini series. I'm quite happy with it. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the series. If you did, don't forget, give it a big thumbs up. It truly does help me out. I thought maybe to kind of put a bow on this and wrap it up, I would tell you a few of my takeaways from this series. All right, so I think I have basically 3 kind of big takeaways from this series. The first one is I like painting in a series that has like a few parameters, or if you will, or a few, I don't know if rules is the right thing to say. Like for example, this series I was painting all like 4x4 on the mat board, and I had kind of a theme going into it. Like I wanted to make sure it was nature themed, and then of course the different art styles. But I found that I like coming into the studio with kind of an idea or concept about what I'm going to paint, and then tweaking it along the way if it doesn't work out, rather than just kind of coming in here with really no idea what I want to do. Hopefully that makes sense. And I'm even thinking a few of these maybe perhaps might turn into some bigger paintings or larger concepts. I don't know, we'll see. So that is kind of my big takeaway number 1. Takeaway number 2, working small has its advantages and disadvantages. And I know this isn't an earth-shattering takeaway, but it's kind of like until you, like I was working pretty large to begin with, prior to this series, and then once I started working small, it's like you realize things all of a sudden again. Even though I've done mini paintings before in the past, it's kind of like you need that reminder to once you start working on them again. And basically the advantage is that it's on a 4x4 piece of mat board. There's no like real pressure. Like if you mess something up, it's just some mat board and a small amount of paint. It's not a big deal. Versus working on like a larger cradled panel, you know, you have the pressure of, I don't want to mess up a larger panel. And it always takes more paint, more wax, a little bit more expensive if you do mess it up, that type of thing. Not that it's always about the money, but, and then of course it takes more time to fix it if you mess it up. The disadvantage is I feel like I can experiment less on these 4x4 paintings because there's just less space. And I also noticed that I can get a lot less detail in these paintings than I can with the big paintings. Again, these are probably pretty obvious, but it was kind of like taking a step back, looking back on this series and kind of thinking about the pros and cons of it. So I just thought I would mention that because that was my takeaway number 2. And the last takeaway is more about the painting and the various different art styles. And I learned that I am by no stretch of the imagination an abstract artist, which is kind of ironic because I don't know if I painted abstract when I first got on YouTube or not. I have to look back to see if I have any like videos from the very, very, very start of anything, if I was painting abstract or not. But initially, when I was doing acrylic mixed media and when I first started painting, I was all about the abstract, really diving deep into the abstract painting. And I think because I haven't done much abstract painting at all for probably maybe 5 or 6 years, it's been a long time, maybe even longer than that. It's kind of like I've lost that muscle, that abstract painting muscle. I don't know. It's really strange to me because the abstract paintings in this series were my least favorite ones. And maybe I'm being hard on myself, but I think you all would probably agree with that. So going forward in the future though, what I kind of learned, or what I'm going to take away from this takeaway is that I might like to go back to practicing some abstract paintings with Encaustic to see if I can't kind of figure that out. I'm not going to become an abstract painter per se, but it's nice to be able to kind of stretch yourself and maybe experiment with some things that you don't normally experiment with. So I'm thinking maybe later in the year, this could be something that I mess around with, abstract painting. I don't know, we'll see. Stay tuned. So again, thank you so much for coming along on this painting series. I really, really do appreciate it. If you did like the series and like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It truly, truly does help me out. I'm not sure if I will pick you back up a bit later. It is actually Friday today, so if you're watching this on Friday, happy Friday. If you're not watching this on Friday, happy future Friday to you. But I might pick you up as we go through the weekend. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to get up to. I think it's supposed to be pretty chilly out and more snow, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll pick you up here shortly though and just kind of take you along on our weekend. I should say though, this is the end of the painting portion of this video. So if you're not interested in kind of behind the scenes life stuff, then thanks again for watching.
Since it's so chilly out and we are expecting some snow, I decided to make a big batch of lemon chicken noodle soup, which happens to be our favorite winter soup. It's full of yummy veggies and some lemons and just super healthy filling soup. And I'm making plenty to last us through the entire weekend. So, lots of leftovers and no more cooking for me. I got completely distracted by these turkeys rooting around here. I think that they must know that a winter storm is coming, that it's going to get really chilly, and we're expecting quite a bit of snow. Because I believe they are stocking up on food, which I believe they eat acorns, and they're right across the street, so I'm staring out at them. So anyways, back to this yarn. I finished winding all of it up. And I want to make a hat out of this yarn for Matt. And we're calling it his droid hat. And he tells me those that know will get that terminology. So I've got it all wound up and I'm putting it into these little yarn cozies that I made to keep it kind of organized and put together while I knit the hat. So anyways, back to the soup. We're just going to settle in for the evening and eat some yummy, yummy soup. I just wanted to reiterate again, thank you so much for joining us on this video. And I'll leave you with some beautiful winter wonderland pictures. We did get that snow that they were predicting. Yay, snow!